Hi there guys, just a little quick video today. I'm not gonna plug anything, I'm not gonna ask you to subscribe. A little comment would be nice, because I love reading the comments and I do read them all. If you don't feel like commenting, you just kind of want to harangue or harass, then don't bother because I really don't care. And it's not helpful, it's not respectful to this story really, this discussion. So, as you know, I'm talking about Chris Watts and his murder of his family. And some of the comments have been amazing that people put on, so insightful and sensitive and interesting, and you know, I've learned so much. And I said in my video before, I think I deleted it because I didn't kind of express it the right way, and I wanted to change that. That the more I do it, the more I think that Chris Watts worked alone. Sorry, I'm doing my hair. I just realised it just looks pretty awful for you guys. That he did it alone. And then I was kind of thinking to myself, why did I get so, I don't know, so sort of touched by this whole case? And it's because I guess I've been wondering the reason why. And maybe that was my mistake, because I don't think you can ask why in a way, because so many people think that he is a narcissist and that the whole of his relationship with Shanann was pretty much a facade. And there's very clear sort of evidence for that. You know, he didn't really seem to know who he was as a person, didn't really know how to behave, and all his behaviour, from what I can see, was kind of learned on the job. He sort of wheedled his way into Shanann's heart when she was in a very vulnerable place, and sort of seemed to be this strong figure. But then she sort of became the strong figure, and from what we see in the videos anyway, she was constantly on the front foot, immaculate house, everything was organised, she worked, she did everything. I think he did the laundry, but you know, there were so many different times that he said he did different things. He said he cooked, and then of course he said he didn't cook, you know, all this kind of stuff. But you know, then they were together or married for 8 years or something. Is it possible for a person to be sort of living so covertly, so falsely for that length of time? When we look throughout history at people that have done appalling things or behaved in ways that we don't understand, they've managed to fit into society pretty well. There are people that, you know, held jobs and relationships and were, you know, chopping off people's heads and burying them in the garden. But they were seemingly a normal person. But that's one thing. But then to have done what he did to all of those immediate people around him is another. So my question is it possible for him to have led this lie? I agree that he could lie. I think he doesn't know how to do anything but lie, because I do believe that everything that's come out of his mouth is a lie. I don't believe his second confession. He lied about his affair with NK. He lied to NK. He lied to his kids. He lied to everyone. But this was kind of towards the end, or was it? Who knows? Was the whole thing a lie? I know that they were in financial trouble, and that's a big thing that I've learned from doing these videos and watching more, is that they were really in debt, like badly, and I'm not sure that they would have got out of that. And then half of you believe that he was a guy that just snapped. You know, and it's interesting because people's reasons for Chris Watts snapping is Shanann, and it's very interesting that there's so many comments about her and NK, especially that NK was an accessory to the murder. Oops, sorry, that's my computer. And that she was involved somehow. And again, throughout history, it's really interesting that when things happen that we hear about, either in the media or whatever, we always blame the woman. We always see that the woman is either a harlot or she was a bully or somehow she's involved in this. And it's interesting with both Shanann and Nicole Kessinger that they're both getting so much grief, that Shanann drove Chris to do it because she was so bossy, she was brainless. I've actually had that comment, that she was a brainless no-gooder. Extraordinary comment to make, vile. That, you know, she pushed him so far, she emasculinated him. And then on the other vein, you know, he was obsessed with NK. She wanted this from him. She wanted the family. She wanted everything. It's her, it's her, it's her. So from both sides, you've got Chris Watts in the middle, who has admitted what he did. And then both of the women either side of him, one who is dead and the other one he was having an affair with, are both getting so much hate and so many comments and so much blame put on them, which is really, really interesting to me. And then, of course, there's another side of proceedings, which is that people believe that he wasn't on his own and that there were accomplices in the house. And I've seen quite a lot of videos, a certain channel. And the stories that are being created there is astonishing. That, you know, I mean, they're even making comparisons to themselves and the children, that they recognise themselves and the children from the videos they've seen, and they think this is what happened, and they think they're down in the basement, there was a pajama party, or this happened and that happened, and we don't know, but, you know, and that Bella was screaming for her life and she had all these injuries. Again, she didn't have all these injuries. She had a certain thing going on with her mouth, which was conducive to the story Chris told, basically. And these far-flung stories, I understand why we do it, because we don't understand and we don't know and we can't ever know. Our human instinct is to use our imagination and to try and understand him and understand the night. We go through meticulously the events. We want to know what they ate, when he spoke to NK, what they looked like, what they said, because it's fascinating. It's fascinating human watching behaviour. But is it constructive to then start making stuff up about what we think happened, which is very different to what he's told? I don't know. Anything is worth saying online, and everyone has the freedom to say those things. But I do believe that there's a sort of certain line of respect that we need to give the family. You know, people are saying that they've written to Tammy and Graham and the FBI and all this kind of stuff, and they're awaiting a reply. They're not going to get a reply from them. We're nothing. We're nothing in this YouTube community. We're just talking about it. We may want to get ourselves closer and closer and closer to the case, but we aren't going to, because there's things going on there that, you know, we're never going to be involved with. We're never going to get those bits of information unless they come to light and are fed to the media on purpose. You know, I know there are so many things that we never got to see. Not that we wanted to see the autopsy, we never got to see that. We never got to see so many things, and all we've got is Chris Watts' opinion, which is deeply dangerous and deeply unsatisfying, because, again, me personally, I believe that he's lied. So I just want to know your comments on this. I'd love to know, like, who thinks he was alone, who thinks someone else was there, who thinks something different happened to what he said. I'm getting some really interesting comments. Another interesting one was that when he backed his truck into the garage, obviously the white Lexus, I think it's a Lexus of Shanann's, fills up. She parked it quite close to the door, and I don't know whether, did he move her car for a few days? Because did I hear something about that he moved her car and moved it down the street or something? I don't know. But he couldn't have backed his truck in that far because the car was there. And he knew that the cameras were on. And also, we talk about that time that he's loading the bodies and stuff like that, and that someone very tenaciously is telling me, yes, he did, you can see him loading a body. You don't ever see him loading a body. You see him loading something, and you see him, and it probably is a body, but we don't see it. We do not see him loading a body. Whatever angle, however you looked at the piece of footage, you do not see him loading a body. You see him lift something heavy up and then kind of throw it like an old suitcase in the cab of the truck, and you see him moving around, but you do not see him with a body. He would have known that the camera was there. But you do see him actually sort of very, like a robot, really. It's extraordinary behaviour. And I just wonder what you think about that, whether if he planned it or if he didn't, if it was premeditated or if it wasn't. You know, and all these kind of comments are really, really interesting to me. And as always, stay safe and don't believe everything that you hear, but keep asking questions. Thank you.